Welcome to the STEM Confidence Podcast, where we talk about how to turn your data into powerful insights. Hello and welcome to another episode of the STEM Confidence Podcast. Today, I want to talk about a topic that is somehow recurrent in the STEM field, and that is what to do when you finally achieve your dream STEM job, and then after some time you realize that this job isn't that dreamy as you thought. I decided to talk about it because in the last few weeks I've had several conversations in which this topic emerged. Of course, there are many ways in which to handle this topic, but today I want to talk about one specific aspect of it. So I believe this happened to many of us. You start your bachelor with a lot of enthusiasm because you will finally study only about the topic that interests you, whether that is science, engineering, or mathematics in this case. You finish your bachelor's degree, possibly start a master's degree or a PhD, and as you move towards the working world, you slowly realize that what you thought you will do and what you're actually doing might be quite different. And I have to admit that this is a quite frustrating situation to be in, and it can occur for many reasons. Today, I want to talk about one that I found to be quite recurrent, and it is very specific to the STEM field, especially if you're working in scientific disciplines. And that is not having a clear path of how to reach a given solution or result. Specifically, one thing that I have noticed is that you are rarely getting the physical manifestation of your work. So let me give you an example. When you start a new data science project, your main task will probably consist of making sense of a bunch of data. However, more often than not, you will not know exactly how you will achieve this goal. You will start your analysis, then you'll try to do some things which will probably not work, and as the deadline approaches, not having a clear result might be very frustrating. To give somehow an opposite example, imagine you are baking a cake. If it's your first time baking it, it will probably not end up being very tasty. But you will at least have a physical manifestation of your efforts. The cake will be there, right? However, in STEM disciplines, we often don't have that physical manifestation of our efforts until the very end of the project. And this can take months or even years, which can become quite frustrating for all of us. So the question is, what do we do meanwhile? How do we make tangible something that is so abstract? Basically, if you cannot focus on your end result because you don't even know what will that be, what should you do? I found that what works is focusing on the mini goals that you set to yourself day by day. For example, if your job is to make sense of some data, it is very possible that this data will not make sense in the short term. But there are a series of steps that you have to take. These are, for example, sorting the data, doing some preliminary analysis, doing some exploratory figures to make sure in which direction you should even go. All of these should be your goals and you should celebrate when you achieve them. Otherwise, it is very easy to enter the loop in which you don't even know where you are or where you are going. And it's easy to feel stuck in a tunnel with no clear direction where to go. So the first solution would be to really set small goals and make sure that you celebrate them as you achieve them. Because otherwise, it is very easy to get lost in the task. So how do we do it? The most important and sort of game-changing tip for me was to break my big task into really small tasks that I was sure I was able to achieve. Try to think about the first mini goal that you would like to achieve. This could be, for example, choosing a method to analyze your data. And even though it is a valid goal to have, it is very vaguely defined because it requires a series of prior steps in order to achieve it. This is why I suggest that you define very small and very specific goals. Going back to choosing the method. If you want to be more specific, you could break down this goal into many small ones. Something you could set as a goal, for example, could be plotting or filtering the data. This is much more specific because you know exactly what you have to do. Another good example is with writing reports or articles. It is very overwhelming to start thinking about the entire article. Instead, it is much better to think in terms of sections or paragraphs. Very often as STEM professionals, we have this all or nothing mentality, which I like to call 0 or 1 mentality, in which the task is either completed or not. But more often than not, the big task that we have or the big project that we have consists of many, many little tasks that can easily go under the radar if you don't take note of them. Because sometimes we are so focused on our big goal that we don't even see the little steps that we already achieved. And seeing the little achievements actually provides you with the confidence that you actually achieved something already and you will be able to reach the end of the project. Finally, if you often feel stuck with your STEM project, make sure you set small and achievable goals. These will actually guide you to achieving your bigger goal and final results. The most challenging part when applying this method is switching from this all or nothing mindset to a more step-by-step mindset. However, this allows you to keep track of your progress even though you haven't achieved your perfect and final result yet. Thank you for listening, and until next time. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you are ready to elevate your communication skills and transform your data into valuable insights, schedule a free discovery call on the link in the description.